Okay. There every now and again there's some very embarrassing moments in my life, and one of the books that Tracy makes a required read for the advanced office manager front office business training attendees talks about bottlenecks in a manufacturing plant, and it was an amazing business read. And I quickly understood why she requires it for all of our attendees, and the similarities to what dental practices experience became strikingly similar. And 2 years later, I say to myself, I should probably do a podcast on this because practices experience bottlenecks all the time. I don't know why it took me so long. So, honey, I apologize, and we begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
Identifying bottlenecks is critical for improving efficiency in the production line because it allows you to determine the area where accumulation occurs. Just ask your team members who do all the ordering, and they're going to tell you where the accumulation occurs and where you lose money. The machine or process that accumulates the longest queue is usually a bottleneck. And however, this isn't always the case, though. A bottleneck in manufacturing is a point in the production process that slows it down and impedes or interrupts the flow of production. Kind of like that filling that turned into a root canal. Okay, anyway, I digress. Bottlenecks determine the throughput of a supply chain. And yes, we are like supply chains in dentistry. And recognizing this fact and making improvements, it increases cash flow, just like in any other business. And just like the bottlenecks in a manufacturing plant that can cause inefficiencies and lost revenues, I want to identify 6 bottlenecks that we commonly see in dental practices. The first one is treatment planning. We oftentimes see patients needing dental care hauled off into what I call the interrogation room. In that room begins the presentation with x-rays, photos, codes, and fees. And that interrogation room can sometimes take 30 minutes after the regular hygiene appointment. Many have these specialized rooms to honor perceived HIPAA compliance rules and regulations, and when just carefully worded presentations will complete the task at the front desk. Here's the main question. Has anyone asked the patient, the consumer, how they feel when they go into the treatment presentation interrogation room of fine details with a spotlight on their face? Has anyone asked the patient how they feel about it? Really? What goes through the patient's mind when they make that left turn into the special room instead of the right turn past the front desk and out to freedom, no decay? I tell everyone who goes through any of our trainings that going to the dentist should be no different than going to the grocery store. Presenting needed treatment should follow the 3 T's of communication. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you've told them. If that takes longer than 10 minutes of total time, you might lose a sale of oral health care. You're certainly boring your patient to death while they, await the presentation. Simplified and concise treatment plans, which is what our trainees see when we present treatment live. They get to actually come over to our practice and see that. Whenever we have a patient that needs treatment, we just haul everybody over and let them watch that live. Always concerns me because I never know how that's going to go. Just wait for a patient to yell at me one day, and then everybody that comes to our training gets to see that, and they're like, wow, Rob, that was a great presentation. So far, knock on wood, so far so good. That's never happened, But anyway, simplified and concise treatment plans presented in what we call patient speak, not dental speak, or what consumers really appreciate. Anything beyond that, it's really just noise that the patient will quickly forget. I at least hope they forget going into the interrogation room, but having talked to many patients, they don't forget that interrogation room, just so you know. The second one is verifying insurance. Oh, this is my favorite. This is definitely a major bottleneck in every practice. unless they've been trained by us. But even some of our practices we train fall back into the status quo. Front office team members spend hours on the phone each day verifying insurance coverage instead of more profitable tasks. Even after verifying a patient's coverage, it's still not a guarantee of benefits, is it, front office team members who listen to that very statement made in the recording before you even talk to somebody? Many dental offices feel they have to speak with an insurance rep for the best of accuracy in patient coverage. And some dental insurance companies will verify the coverage online, but the best way is to simply use the practice management software to verify insurance coverage. Many don't realize when you already have a patient with the same insurance under the same company, you already have most, if not all, the details you need to complete an accurate treatment plan. Oh, but Rob, what if they've used treatment? What if they've already been to a dentist? They've already had some stuff done. Could you just ask the patient? And you know what we find super fast? Just calling the office they came from. Hey, can you just tell me how much benefits they've used? You know, when we get that, when we have a patient move out of state or somewhere, they never leave our office because they hate us. Okay, whenever we have that phone call, we are happy to share that information with the other office. It's like camaraderie. It's like, let's help each other out. That's way faster than being on the phone for about 50 hours, right? The third one is decision-making capabilities without hierarchy. Oops. Oh, no. Rob, you just encroached upon my territory that I peed in all four corners on. We see many team members who are not allowed to make decisions without the permission from the doctor or corporate leaders. Many of those decisions are ones where team members with proper training and trust could actually be making on behalf of the practice. And this is an easy bottleneck to fix. Sharing responsibility with dental team members certainly promotes unity and trust. Isn't that what we want to do? There also needs to be verification on decisions that are made on behalf of the practice. That's not hard to do. Hey, team, go make the decision. Then hey, come here. What decision did you make? And then I gulp. I'm like, it wouldn't have been the decision I would have made, but let's run with it and see how it goes and see if their decision ends up being a good decision. That's how we learn and grow. But those checks and balances they're just simple to put in place. Allowing team members to make management and procedural decisions, it saves time and money for the practice. And it may require the doc and other team members to relinquish the control and delegate responsibilities. Some team members have a real difficult time doing that. I know. When delegation, though, when it's done properly, it hurts. It's supposed to hurt when you delegate because you're letting somebody else spread their wings. It hurts prideful team members who have a hard time releasing control. And you know who you are. And docs, you know who they are. The front office members who pee in all four corners, setting territorial boundaries that should never be crossed for fear of being yelled at. We see it all the time. Let it go. The fourth one is self-confidence. This bottleneck oftentimes is difficult to remedy quickly because self-confidence is something that has to be acquired by the individual, and unfortunately, it cannot be taught. However, it is something that every team member needs to acquire for the office to run smoothly. How often do we experience team members who can't take a payment or problem-solve a ledger question or feel inadequate in many procedures or even having the mental fortitude in dealing with certain personality types? Not only do we have the opportunity in building self-confidence in our patients by creating a beautiful smile, but we have, docs, the ability with instilling pride and self-assurance in the abilities of those we serve with. That would be our team members, right? Building positive values and skills with our team members is something that we should never take for granted because without them, we are nothing. With them, training them, building them up will open up some of the worst bottlenecks that we see in our profession. The fifth bottleneck is scheduling. These bottlenecks are self-inflicted, usually because of overscheduling patients, right? One of the key teachings in our courses is showing team members how super packed schedules are not as profitable as dental consultants would lead you to believe. They're rarely profitable, as a matter of fact. Packing the schedule sometimes actually drives down those low profit margins even more. And another problem with packing the schedule is what we call the kiss of death, meaning running behind. No patient likes that bottleneck experience of being the person that they're waiting in the reception area. So contrary to popular belief, patients don't want to hang out with us any longer than they need to. I know that bugs a lot of you. Oh, but my patients love me. Or front office team members, they love chatting with me. No, they just really don't want to be there either. Okay. Another one to watch is team members who schedule the patient who needs a working appointment, and they just don't know how much time to book for them. If they book that patient with too much time, then revenue might be lost. And if they don't book the doc enough time, there goes the time management skills needed to prevent patients from waiting for their appointment and being upset about it. And dare I say, rightfully so. I know that one thing that you think about is you're like, well, if the patient's waiting for me, then they're going to think like, I'm important. I am such a wonderful doctor that patients have to wait for me. No, oftentimes they'll go somewhere else. The sixth bottleneck is complicating the patient flow. And what do I mean by complicating the patient flow? Well, here it comes for many of you, especially those who have worked with the traditional consultant. Are you ready? Lose the routing sheets. It overcomplicates the patient experience. So here we are, identifying a few of the main bottlenecks that we see in dental practices. Oh, sure, there are more we could mention, but these are the main ones we experience each and every day. And when we complicate that patient flow, it just makes life even worse. Okay? So that's actually one of the things that we teach on in the team training and the advanced OMFO training is how to make patient flow be as simple as going to the grocery store. And every time we have an office come through training and they see what our patient flow is, I always hear the front office team members, especially the office managers, the comment that I hear all the time is, wow, their patient flow is so simple compared to ours. That's what you should accomplish. Simplify processes. And it's when we simplify these processes and we don't complicate that patient flow, things go much better. Okay, it's like there are all these things that we do in life that cost the practice money, and we don't even realize it. You see, bottlenecks happen, and we make the team members consider changing their jobs when we don't fix these bottlenecks. Team members want simplified office flow, and when we do that, life becomes easy. A well-greased practice has very few bottlenecks to deal with. But don't be so confident, because bottlenecks can and will appear when you least expect them. And most of the time in dentistry, it comes from a team member that's not been trained properly. It comes from people's perceived ideas that they brought from other offices. And it just comes from the fact that we don't recognize them. Implementing new technology, new procedures, as well as new employees will bring out new and old bottlenecks that will slow us down or simply prevent us from being profitable. Get rid of bottlenecks when they surface as quickly as possible, but be sure to do your best to recognize those bottlenecks when they occur. Take a step back. That's what your team meetings are for. That's what your morning huddles are for. Patients can create bottlenecks. Team members can create bottlenecks. Technology can create bottlenecks. Identify the bottlenecks, get rid of them. Life becomes so much easier. Hey, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Till next time.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.